folks, it is a Saturday night, but that does not stop us here at the Raging Buffalo. We had a little three-person action here at the Entercom Studios following a UB women's victory at ESPN 1520. We're in the studios recording a little bit of baseball talk. I'm Kyle Powell. This is Justin Lamont, who you've seen before on our Buffalo podcast. And we got a newcomer here to my right, to your left, if you're watching this on YouTube, Connor Priester. So we're happy to have you for the first time. Why don't you tell the good folks a little bit about yourself?
Well, I graduated from Medina College just this past May. I work in the sports world currently. Podcasting, really got into it with you as well, starting in the Medina College basement. Whoever thought we'd have been here? Not me. Not me.
Look at us.
Yeah, look at us.
Look at us.
But yeah, no, and I kind of been ragging on you a little bit to, joking around, getting me involved, but it actually happened, so happy to be here.
And what better topic to have you here?
Yeah, baseball. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Talking baseball. I played 4 years collegially. Subtle brag. No, that's really about it.
Weird flex.
Weird flex.
How many different positions did you play in college?
8.
Everything was pitcher, huh? Right?
Yeah, I actually did. I got two appearances. 2 appearances my senior year.
So what was the outlier? First base?
Yeah, first base. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tried to really get that one appearance on senior day. Didn't allow it.
No dice.
Didn't allow it.
Oh, we've come a long way.
Yeah.
But anyway, now you have Connor's background. He's going to be a great addition to the network that we are trying to build here. This is installment maybe 3 or 4. We're getting going here, and yeah, we have the offseason coming on full force. We're a week and a half removed from the World Series, Nationals in 7. Rack it up, 2019 champs. And what better way to start a little bit of conversation than the upcoming awards season we have? There's plenty of free agents to talk about. We'll get to that soon. But we are 2 days removed from the start of awards season, awards week in Major League Baseball. November 11th, Veterans Day, we're going to be seeing the Rookie of the Years announced, followed by the Managers of the Year. And then the Cy Youngs and the MVPs are going to be coming full force. There's a lot of discussion to be had about all of these topics. There's a lot of good candidates, whether you're talking about managers, outstanding rookies, MVP discussions. There's no real outright candidates that you can say, wow, runaway train this year. And I think that's kind of intriguing.
Yeah, every single one kind of has a story too. Like every single candidate, every single award, there's, like you mentioned, the outlier, and there's always someone that has like a good story too. And that's something that I really like to look at is, where they were last year compared to this year, what the team was like last year compared to this year or the last couple of years, and recent memory. And there's a lot of those, especially with looking at Manager of the Year or even Rookie of the Year.
True.
Yeah, and I think, outside of the AL, where you have, a toss-up in terms of, Cy Young or MVP, who Cy Young's going to Houston, in my opinion. Which one you pick, it doesn't matter. But out in the NL, it was really between Yelich and, Bellinger, in my opinion. And with Yelich out, they kind of shored things up there. But there's just so many different angles for people to look at for who these awards are going to go to, and it's just fun to think about and talk about.
Let's start with the rookies then. They're going to be the first announcements in a couple of days. We did talk about a lot of parity in the top 3s for all these voting stipulations, but in my personal opinion, I think there actually is runaways in both Rookies of the Year in terms of Houston, Jordan Alvarez, and Pete Alonso.
Yeah, it's really hard not to give it to Pete Alonso. I mean, the dude took the league by absolute storm. And then even with Jordan, no one knew his name come August, essentially. Guy plays 80 games and hits almost 30 bombs, and, he just... not taking anything away from Lau or John Means. They both had terrific years, but Jordan just...
You and I talked about this, too, before we started recording this thing. Brandon Lau, interesting top 3 finalists. I want to get your thoughts on this, too. Where's the love for, hey, I know it's 50 games or less, but you had 2 guys up north of the border, Vlad Guerrero Jr. and then Bo Bichette, made their debuts that could have made some noise and did make some noise in the Rookie of the Year discussion, did make the finalists.
I thought Bo Bichette more than Vlad. I went and watched a lot of Vlad Jr. and in AAA he was unstoppable. And Bo Bichette was like, where is he? Then he gets called up, and it's vice versa. Bo Bichette had 10 plus games with an extra base hit.
Yep.
He had an over 300 average. He showed some power. Great fielding at shortstop. He's going to be a stud at shortstop. But I don't know why is he not, nothing to take away from anybody else, but he's, in my opinion, should have been Rookie of the Year.
Right, and the argument of games played doesn't really benefit Lau anyway, because as we saw, he played less than 90 games anyway. There was a lot of guys. The guy that's going to win it played 87.
Look at Gary Sanchez. He came up
True.
in August, belted, 20 home runs?
20 plus, 22 maybe, yeah.
22, 23 home runs, and I don't even remember who he lost to.
Right.
And he came up and put up monster numbers, and 67 games total.
Mhm.
Like, he should have won it, but because of games played, he didn't get it. Now it's going to be, well, he's only got X amount of games, but it doesn't matter because look at the numbers he put up.
Mhm.
So it's like, it's kind of flip flopping a little back. I'd like to see consistency out of this, but at the end of the day, I mean, Alvarez came up and he in the ALCS, he was non-existent. And I was so happy because, as a Yankees fan, I'm still not over it, but he was non-existent. He was one hitter I was worried about. Outside of Bregman, I was worried about him because he could flip the series, and he had a great showing on the World Series against Washington.
Yeah, 1 for 22 in the ALCS, and
Yeah.
they advanced, and he ends up almost hitting near 500 against the
Yeah.
Nationals pitching.
And I think how many home runs did he have? He had like 4 or 5?
In the World Series?
Yeah.
He had at least 2 or 3. It was
Yeah.
there was a crushing one in Game 5.
Yeah,
They
that was a
extended the lead.
moonshot.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of gray area when it comes to this award. Like games played, it's more of just an award of who makes the biggest impact in the time that they're given.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, you look at a guy like Ryan Howard in 2005, he plays 88 games. Will Myers in 2013 comes in June for the Rays and plays 88 games and wins the award. There were guys who played more games, but they didn't have as good of an impact. But, okay, Bo Bichette.
Exactly.
Then your counter argument to that, it's like a never-ending black hole. It's like, well, the Jays weren't good with or without him anyway.
Right, so does that turn into like how it is for the MVP race? Because Mike Trout is always putting up numbers, 40 home runs, 300 batting average, 100 RBIs. He never gets the love that he should get. In my opinion, he's the face of baseball.
Mhm.
I mean, he's the best player in the bigs, but he never gets put into that discussion because, well, Angels aren't in the playoffs.
I have a very interesting discussion when we get there. I don't know what you want to do next, but I have a very interesting topic to bring up for that. Because I do agree with what you just said, especially about Mike Trout.
Let's go managers of the year then. I'm pretty sure Alvarez, Alonso, those are, that's a runaway out of
He
3
broke-
of those.
He broke Judge's record for home runs by
Mhm.
rookie, so
And come on, the
it.
shirtless interview he did on MLB Network, showing on that dad bod, like that's a lot of confidence in a kid.
gotta love it.
Oh, absolutely. All right, managers of the year. Rocco Baldelli from the Minnesota Twins in the American League. Kevin Cash of the Rays, going into his 5th year in Tampa. The heir apparent to the throne following Joe Maddon's departure to Chicago. He wins 96 games in his 5th year for the Rays. They go to the playoffs, lose to the A's in the wild-card game. Oh, I'm sorry, they beat the A's.
Yeah, they
Backwards.
lost to Houston.
Yeah, you're right. And then Aaron Boone from your New York Yankees.
That's right.
Who takes the crown?
It's tough. It's
See,
really
that's what I'm
tough.
saying. Managers of the year.
The manager of the year is definitely the one before the show we were talking. It's you can make a case for almost every single candidate, and we'll start with New York. Aaron Boone. I mean, he was just playing the cards that he was dealt. He dealt with so many injuries. The team he just found different guys that he put in there day in and day out. And when you can be able to do that and still go on to have the year that they did, I mean, it's hard not to take him into consideration. But then Tampa, they're like, the underdog of the AL East, because you always talk about Red Sox, Yankees, but then there's Tampa sneaking in the wild card and
Just house money down there.
Yeah. But then Rocco Baldelli, the youngest manager in MLB history, making a huge bounce back year with Minnesota.
I wonder, Minnesota, I don't know why they did so bad last year, and they come out and club 307 home runs on the year. And, I mean, their pitching, name their pitchers. Their pitchers are nobodies, right? But they went out, they had they were middle of the pack for their starters. So bullpen was shaky at the start of the year, pitched good in June, July.
Yeah, really bad.
I really thought that they were going to add an arm, but they didn't. But they gave the Yankees a fight, even though we swept them. They gave us a fight. I was actually worried about Minnesota, especially because the Yankees starting pitching pisses me off. But Boone, separating myself from being a Yankees fan, first manager in MLB history to win 100 games in his first 2 seasons, both seasons, right? We had over 1,000 games missed by players. Didi Gregorius didn't come back until June. You missed Stanton, who can go. He was gone all but 12 games this year. Judge was out. Gleyber Torres was the Yankees MVP this year. Gio Urshela was a glove who hit 20 home runs. You're missing Miguel Andujar. You have a revolving door at first base. Brett Gardner's in his 12th year. Aaron Hicks missed 100 games this year. Severino missed the entire season. Betances tore his Achilles his first game back.
He had 4 different injuries.
Right, Boone literally put together a scrap heap of players and won the AL East comfortably. So in my opinion, that's why he would win the AL East.
You're talking me into this the more you go into these points, because I've been on the Twins train like all summer. I was in love.
Prepared. You came prepared.
I was in love with the Minnesota Twins
I like
all
Twins.
summer.
I love Miguel Sano.
Yeah.
He is a big human being.
Yeah.
The fact that he does yoga is terrifying. Terrifying.
No, but your point on the missed games and 100 games won in the first 2 seasons. I mean, he was making heroes in August of Mike Tauchman and Mike Ford. Like, man, I was all on Baldelli. I went out and followed the Twins on Twitter just because I wanted to see when, where, and who was going to hit that 300th homer this season. It was like, I was in on this. I wrote a story for WGR a couple months ago, like predictions. I'm like, the Twins are going to hit 300. I don't know who's going to do it, but it's going to be so fun to watch. They're going to shatter a record. And the funny part is, they shattered it and were almost taken aback by the Yankees anyway. They lost, I think they had 1 homer less.
307 for the Twins, 306 for the Yankees. Last year, the Yankees hit 262, I think, was the
267.
total number. 267, yeah. 5 teams beat that this year.
Incredible.
I mean, to me, the baseball's definitely more juice, but, you know, we'll continue on.
So, man, Booney, where do you fall?
I'm split. I mean, you just got to look at, I mean, it's hard being a young manager, but then to go out and, completely turn around a team in your first year. And I'm like, because I'm doing everything possible not to get the Yankee bias get to me, but it's
okay. Let it out. You see what I'm wearing? I'm about to wonder why there wasn't a certain manager for the National League.
But we'll get there. We'll get there because I'm in your corner. I am in. Trust me. But I would be happy if it went to either ball that you're doing. I'm not gonna lie.
They both deserve it.
They both do. Like I said beforehand, there's so many candidates that are so deserving of their respective awards that it's that hard to actually nitpick who deserves it more. So,
do you think at this point people are tired of Houston because we haven't even talked once about AJ Hinch?
I'm very tired of Houston. My personal
like 100 straight wins as a manager, and he's not even making the final.
Is
it because it's expected at this point from Houston that you have to get to that?
If the Yankees didn't deal with the injuries that they had, I don't think Boone gets nominated for it.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, AJ Hinch had Jose Altuve, Michael Brantley, Correa, Springer, which both of those guys missed time, but Garrett Cole had 300 plus strikeouts. Justin Verlander, Zach Greinke, like, what does Hinch have to do? He can just sit there all game and chew seeds.
Put some pencil on a paper
yeah,
and just like you're playing here and go get them.
When the camera pans
Talk
on
to you
you,
in 3
just
hours.
act like you're doing something real quick. Just give a sign or something. But I mean, Houston is just loaded, and they're going to be loaded until they have to start paying players. But
that's true.
I mean, look at what the other teams did compared to what Hinch has to do. Night and day.
We go back to Houston. I want to do a little quiz right here. Not a quiz, it's just trivia. Yordan Alvarez, potential rookie of the year in Houston this year. He was once Dodger property. Were you aware of that?
I was actually.
Were you?
Yes, they did a little thing on it last year in the World Series.
Okay.
Or when Houston and the Dodgers played.
Okay.
Wasn't he like a Rule 5 draft pick or something like that?
He was a Rule 5 draftee and then was shipped in a 2016 deal. That's right. They would have talked about that in the World Series.
Yeah.
Do you know who he was traded for? The deadline of 2016.
Funny enough, I forgot, but me and your brother had this conversation.
You know what? You know where you got that conversation?
Probably you. Yeah, me and your brother had this conversation. We were playing MLB The Show. It was, and then he brought up this, and it completely stumped me. I had no idea. But he told me we had this conversation, and I was shocked.
None other than noted bearded relief pitcher Josh Fields. LA was making a stretch postseason run, and it was a surefire the bullpen around Kenley Jansen. They go out and get Josh Fields from Houston, and ship a youthful Yordan Alvarez Houston's way. And as they say, at least through 87 games in a postseason run, the rest could be history. All right, to the National League. Brian Snitker in Atlanta for his NL East division crown at Braves. Mike Schilt, the Renaissance Cardinals, and Craig Counsell in Milwaukee. Again, can't really go wrong. Expectations for all of these teams going into this season. I think the lowest was probably going to be in St. Louis, being in a division with the Cubs and the Brewers. What their season probably hung in the balance a little bit going into spring training. But again, 3 guys
It's
throw it up in the air and catch
It's a
it.
flip of a 3-sided coin.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah. The biggest thing here that we're going to talk about, I'll bring it up, is Martinez not being.
Yeah, the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
No Davey Martinez.
I don't.
I understand postseason isn't taken into account for all these awards. These are decided upon and I believe voted on as well before the postseason, so there's no extra bias. But still,
You were 19-31 in May. You were in the same realm of talk as the Baltimore Orioles, who are a laughing stock, and you bring them back. Do you want to say you sneak into the wild card? I mean, I don't know if that's
they
right.
played their best baseball after May 24th on. They go from 19-31 to 74 and 38
Yeah.
the rest of the way. Get
Yeah.
112 games left in the season.
Yeah, I mean I don't know how he doesn't get any recognition. At least be nominated, even if he doesn't win. Like Dave Martinez should be a final 3.
Yeah. The cloud of Harper departure. You knew it was coming, but the day still came. You lose Max Scherzer for at least a month's time. A scrap heap of players that you have to, Matt Adams playing while Ryan Zimmerman is injured. These are kind of bench guys, not to the extent of the Yankees, but they had guys thrust in the roles they didn't expect to be in spring training and the season going on. You got catchers by committee and Kurt Suzuki and Jan Gomes, established players, but past their prime, and Soto, Rendon are the cornerstones of the lineup. But yeah, to do what he did and resurrect them from the dead, get them to buy in, and then I was oddly shocked.
And I think what helped with Washington was a trade that they made a couple years ago with Oakland when they brought over Doolittle, I think his name is.
Doolittle
Sean
and,
Doolittle. Yeah.
It was Ryan Madsen too.
Yeah, Ryan Madsen, but Doolittle pitched his mind off
Mhm.
the second half of the season, even against Houston. Like
That's another guy who had an injury too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was just sharp, razor sharp, and I loved his pictures too. He was trying to be like Ovi. That was great. That was great.
Yeah, they lived that up for sure. But yeah, hey, come on, Davey Love.
It'll forever blow my mind. Like, the minute I got the notification about the finalists, I was like, oh, Davey Martinez is probably going to be on here. Just no. And I know postseason isn't in the consideration, but you can make so many arguments, again, that you guys just did about the regular season, how bad they were, how they came back. The whole motto of stay in the fight. But it leaves me speechless that he's Craig Counsell, all right? It was expected for them to have a year like that again, but he's a candidate again. Not taking anything away from Craig Counsell, but I think if anyone doesn't deserve to be on there, it's Craig Counsell.
Now, I fell on the opposite realm of that spectrum. Without David Martinez here, my vote was Craig Counsell because of the way he was able to keep the Brewers afloat in that September when they're in a hunt, and it's easy when you see your MVP go down the way he did in Miami. You could lose a team in the snap of a finger, and that season could be done. He kept them afloat and got them to October, and I credit him for that.
Yeah, I mean, he's without Yelich. Like what I really thought that team was just going to face plant, and honestly, I thought they had the makings of a team that could make a run. I thought Yelich would be the player, to where that Cinderella team makes it. They need that one player, like that was the Brewers roster without Yelich, and Yelich just takes them to a whole nother level. Like there's just a different energy he brings. Like you saw it in Miami, like how the Marlins were so bad for so long with the players they had.
It's boggling.
Blows my mind. Osuna, Stanton, and Yelich is your starting outfield.
Realmuto, D. Gordon.
Right, and then
come on.
rest in peace, Jose Fernandez. But like that team was just so good. And then you see Yelich just break through. Like I love Milwaukee. Their pitching staff fell back, and that's one thing to where I think that might knock them in the race. But I don't know. I think it's going to Atlanta.
Do you really?
Personally,
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the way Ozzy Albies and you go and get Dallas Keuchel and Brian McCann in his final year. It's just everything just kind of seemed to fit right, and they never took their foot off the pedal. They never really slumped. They just even keeled throughout the entire season. Ronald Acuna is an absolute stud. So I think that's the players are going to get him.
Acuna and Soto for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's going to be something.
Yeah. Soto was so good.
Mm-hmm.
He's only 20 years old. You got
He's built like a house.
He is.
He is.
He's a large. Did you see the picture of him hugging his father and
Yep.
his mother? Like he dwarfed them. Like I thought he had a arch in his back from the way he was standing. Like he is just huge.
I know. I mean, look at us. Like, we weren't that far removed from being 2021. What are they feeding these guys, honestly?
I'm 22 and I look like a mop that's probably sitting in one of the closets back there.
And on that note, tune into the Managers of the Year on Tuesday the 12th. But let's move on to the Cy Young. You guys want to start with the junior or senior circuit?
Oh, the junior.
The junior?
The junior.
Oh, let's go to the AL. How about that? Garrett Cole, Houston Astros. Justin Verlander, Houston Astros.
Okay.
And Charlie Morton, Tampa Bay Rays. Garrett Cole, come on. Yes? No?
Unless like the breeze blows and it goes to Verlander, but like I think Morton's just a throw in there. What are the likelihood that they just co-Cy Young? I mean they both deserve it.
I'm trying to think if there's been one before. There's been co-MVPs in like the playoffs. There has to be co-Cy Youngs before.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
On it.
Thank you.
Well, like Garrett Cole was 300 strikeouts. He hasn't lost a game since May until Washington.
Right.
Which is just absurd. Verlander is the ageless wonder,
If there is one, give me the year and I'll try and guess it.
and he's got kid up too, so I mean, you're not going wrong there.
But you're right about Charlie Morton being a
Yeah,
throw-in.
like you could have named anybody, and it would have been fine.
I'll give you one. Toss in or not. Guy could get consideration, at least in my mind, I thought. Shane Bieber. Thoughts on Shane Bieber out of Cleveland?
Interesting, because he really filled in.
I mean, everybody feels like a toss in the way Verlander
Right,
and Cole pitched, but
right.
I thought a guy,
Like when Trevor Bauer left, he really came on. It was a game, against the Yankees in Cleveland that he struck out 13, I think, went 6 innings, and from there he just took off.
Mhm.
And I think he had the highest win total in Cleveland as a rookie since CC Sabathia.
Yeah, he ended up with 15 this year.
Yeah.
ERA just over 3, and he was third in the league, not the American. Oh, I'm sorry, entire baseball, not just
Yep.
American League. Strikeouts behind
Yeah.
Verlander and Cole.
Yeah. So I mean, that's your third over, Martin. But Morton again was the ace. He pitched so much better than Blake Snell did this year. Blake Snell really fell off, even though he still had a good year. I mean, I like Bieber a lot,
I do too.
and I think that's why it makes sense to move on from a guy like Trevor Bauer.
What did we find?
1969. AL.
Oh, that screams Baltimore.
It's one of them.
It's one of them.
There were 2 AL Cy Youngs in 1969.
So it was a co.
Yeah.
Let's go Mike Cuellar.
That was one of them, yep. For Baltimore, yep.
Impressive.
Jim Palmer.
No.
Dave McNally.
He was 4th. He was.
Pat Dobson, is that his name?
Nope.
Who's left? McCormick?
Nope.
Who is it?
Denny McLean.
Danny McLean. Oh, I'm an idiot. I was only thinking Orioles. I thought that the pitching staff.
Oh, no.
Each got a
I thought
Cy
we were
Young.
just asking,
No.
has there ever been a
Okay, so
co-Cy Young?
Danny McLean to Detroit.
Impressive. Very impressive.
You ask him anything about baseball, it's honestly weird. He plays too much Sporkle.
Great quiz site, by the way. Have you been introduced to Sporkle? Anybody out there?
Oh, yeah.
Sporkle.com?
I gotta get on that.
Please do.
You bet money on that.
I have not found that part of the site. I'll let you know.
I got rent to pay, so I gotta make money when I can.
Just make sure you got some type of good virus protection because that thing does introduce some weird pop-ups.
It does. All right, AL thoughts.
I would have to go with Cole. Again, it's a toss-up, but I mean, you just look at how dominant Cole was all year. I mean, again, you kind of want to give it to Charlie Morton too, but it's just funny that all 3 of them Houston ties.
True.
It's just
Yeah.
Houston produces
Yeah.
good pitching. And like Garrett Cole was good before he went to Houston, but he was dominant when he got to Houston. Same with Verlander. It looked like the wheels might have been falling off for him. He got to Houston back to being dominant again.
Brent Strawn, maker of men.
It really is.
Wade Miley. List goes on and on.
I'm saying Cole.
Cole?
Yep.
Okay, I will go Cole as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shane Bieber. Your season is not lost on me, though. You'll get one eventually. He's good.
He's good. He's good.
All right, National League. This is also different. This is kind of a weird one. A couple of guys. So we got a guy that lost some time from injury. It's Max Scherzer. He's a finalist. Hyun-Jin Ryu, who his first half greatly eclipsed how he performed in the second half.
Yep.
And Jacob deGrom, the reigning award winner out of Queens. Flushing. Never know what to call it. It's Queens? Flushing?
Yeah.
They call them both.
Yeah. It's weird over there.
Do we see a repeat?
I think we do.
Yeah?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, DeGrom, obviously he wasn't best in ERA, but when it comes to the other numbers, strikeouts, opposing average, WHIP, I mean, all dominant numbers. You can't overlook that. He was dominant all year. I mean, it would be very mind-boggling, I think, if it went to anyone else besides DeGrom again.
I agree. Scherzer, I feel like he had a lot of strikeouts, a lot of 10 plus K performances this year, but he gave up a lot of home runs.
Yes, he did.
A lot of home runs this year, and that was really his bugaboo all season long. And there was especially big moments too. Like it wasn't like just a solo ding dong when A one game or something like that. I mean, and DeGrom, like the Mets are just so bad. As an entire franchise, they're just so bad. I love Robinson Cano, but he's just bad. And like that franchise from the top down is just not good. And then you got DeGrom, and you have Syndergaard, and you have Wheeler, and those three are just the only bright spot on that team. And DeGrom, where's his run support?
Exactly.
For 4 years in a row now, he's the lowest 5 pitchers in terms of run support. Like that, how as a pitcher are you supposed to win?
He's the new Cole Hamels.
He really is.
Growing up in the Philadelphia area,
Yeah.
that guy would have to fight scratch and claw to win 2-1 in Philadelphia.
Right,
And now
like,
it's DeGrom
like,
taking the cake.
We look at pitchers and we judge their wins losses by how they pitch, but in the NL it's different because your pitchers hit, but like you're one batter. Your entire team has to hit.
Right.
The Mets just don't do that.
Yeah, you think they're only a couple years removed from that World Series run. Matz, Wheeler, DeGrom, Syndergaard.
Same with Toronto.
Exactly. Like an embarrassment of riches, teams would have killed for that pitching staff. They could have gone places. They did go places. They were a couple of games short, but you're talking like a dynasty in your rotation. And
The best tidbit from last year when DeGrom was just unreal was like if it was like a tweet, I forgot who it was, but it was like if the Mets scored 1 run in like 15 of DeGrom's other outings, he would have been like 25 and whatever it was at the point. Like
it's second.
all it takes is just 1 run.
I think it was
for DeGrom.
I think it was a reporter from SNY because I saw that
Yeah.
tweet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it was so long ago, but I forgot the exact wording of it, but it was something crazy like that where if the Mets scored 1 run in X amount of DeGrom's outings, he would have had at least like 20-something wins. And that's just insane.
Because he won the side with less than 10 wins, or if just 10 wins, maybe last year, 10-8 or something crazy.
He had like a 1.7 ERA last
Mhm.
year. That's just stupid.
Well, that was about Hyun-Jin ERA going into the All-Star break this year, but I wanted your thoughts on that too, because Hyun-Jin first half gets him into the finalists, but a guy like Jack Flaherty, who had a dominant second half, almost Jake Arrieta-esque from 2015, he almost pitched himself into the finalists, but he doesn't find his name on this ballot. Instead, it's a guy in LA who was good up until July, but definitely took some regression in the second half of the season.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, me personally, I would like to see more in the second half because that's when you get in your
Crunch
big
time.
boy baseball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Ryu's ERA is the only thing that gets him in there. That and the fact that, again, the Dodgers are in the playoffs.
Mhm.
That's just what people look at.
I don't know. It's just so like I can understand that argument, but like it's hard to ignore the numbers that DeGrom is putting up, and the fact that he basically went out there and proved that last year wasn't just a fluke. Like he is this dominant. I believe he's the best pitcher in the MLB.
Ooh.
Like
What a hot take.
every single
What
number,
a hot take.
every single number he's holding opposing batters almost a
16,
200 average
716 on a Saturday. Jacob DeGrom is the best pitcher in baseball.
right now. Yes,
Here for it.
like he holds opponents to a 200 average. This year, his WHIP was below 1, which that right there is impressive enough. But then, bouncing off of that, Flaherty, his numbers were almost the same when it comes to that. So, for him to be held off the ballot, again, we were talking before, it's like
It's interesting because we're not
Now-
that far removed. Jake Arrieta was my example of a
Yeah.
guy with a dominant second half taking home a Cy Young award. Their numbers aren't the same. Arrieta won 20 plus games and ERA well under 1, but their second halves, Jake Arrieta pitched to a .75. I believe Flaherty was around a .9, and he was one of my breakout pitchers going into the season. If the St. Louis Cardinals were going to go anywhere, I thought it was going to be on the arm of Jack Flaherty. It took him a while,
Yeah.
but we really saw what he could be as a 23-year-old budding ace.
Yeah, I mean the Cardinals too. Watching their series against Washington, like their pitching just outside of him, they weren't overpowering. Like that's a team that has arms, but like at the same time doesn't.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they need Flaherty, and when they needed him, he came through.
Yes, he did.
And that's again second half baseball, big boy baseball. Flaherty over.
I love that term. I
You like
love
big
that.
boy baseball?
I like that
Big
a
boy
lot,
baseball. That's the new BBB. LeVar Ball can get out of here with that.
yeah. I'm a big fan of that. Let me start saying that. Big boy baseball. All right.
All right, fellas, it is the awards we've been waiting to talk about all night here. It is the most valuable players. And truth be told, it doesn't get easy to discuss either one because there are some powerhouses in each league. It's going to be some close finishes, if I would say so myself, in these voting. Let's start with the National League. Started with the AL for the Cy Young Awards. Cody Bellinger from the LA Dodgers, Christian Yelich from the Milwaukee Brewers. Hope your knee gets well soon. And World Series champ Anthony Rendon from your Washington Nationals. My bias is taking over.
I know. First off, imagine how much more fun this race would have been if Bellinger was healthy. Or not Bellinger, I'm sorry, Yelich.
Yeah.
It would have been so much because there were commercials made about it.
Yes.
Elliott versus
Cody versus
Yelich.
Young.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, they're playing what, like horse?
They're
playing horse with the home runs.
I blame that. I blame the MLB for that. That I'm them for Yelich getting injured.
The Madden curse of MLB.
Yeah, exactly, same thing. But no, it's again, you can make the argument for every single one of these guys, and it's.
Is there even a way to get mad unless you have skin in the game if you're a fan of one of these teams? If you're an outsider looking in, you're like, oh wow, Bellinger won. Like, rats, I wish it was Yelich. Can you really be mad at anybody that wins this award?
No, like Rendon was a steady force all season. You know, especially how old is he? He's not
28.
young.
29, yeah.
Right, like I mean, he had a phenomenal year, and again, playoffs don't count into it, but he was a saving grace for Washington in the World Series. But if Yelich doesn't get hurt, I think it's back to back. But I think it's going to Bellinger, even though he skidded in late August, September.
Mm-hmm.
So he had 40 home runs into August, and ended up with 45, 46. I mean, it's not based all on home runs, but that's what he's known for. But if Yelich doesn't get hurt, I think it's back to back.
That's right. Yeah, but the name of the game is, hey, scoring runs, driving runs, and Belly versus Yelly got the commercials, man. But Anthony Rendon scored 100 runs, led the league in doubles, career high 34 homers, hit over 300, and quietly led the league in runs batted in.
So I'm going to bring up.
I drop it. If I could drop this mic, I would drop it.
I'm going to bring up the argument now. This is, I understand, but I'm not anywhere close to the baseball
don't
writers in
leave.
America. I'm not anywhere close to the baseball writers in America who votes on this, but my take on the MVP award is if you take this candidate off of that team, how much of a difference would that make? And I think if you take Bellinger off of the Dodgers are still a dominant team. I think if you take Rendon off of the Nationals, I don't think that they're close to being what they are. I think the same thing, I mean, you can say for Yelich, but then we got to see what the Brewers without Yelich looked like. So in my eyes, I think it goes to Rendon. That's who I think deserves it. If not, I think it should go to Yelich, but I think that the Dodgers are just as dominant without Cody Bellinger.
Okay, interesting. I like that. So, Rendon, what do you got? You got something for the people? Something to look out for?
I don't know. I think it's going Bellinger.
Bellinger?
But at that point, are they just looking at the name? They're looking at the team.
I was saying, are we talking who do we think it should go to, or who do we think it's going to go to?
Right.
Because I think it's going to go to Bellinger.
I think that it should go those numbers. It should go to Rendon, but
I think it'll go to Bellinger.
sports
but I
are a
don't think it should.
popularity contest. The NBA is famous for being a popularity contest, but I mean,
Hey, MLB's not that far removed from having 8 Kansas City Royals starting
Yeah.
an All-Star game.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a popularity contest?
they were good.
How do you get outvoted by the city of Kansas City? It's Missouri. Somebody step up.
Where is Missouri on the map?
You know what took me to like a
Little
couple
north.
years ago too to find out that Kansas City is not named Kansas.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's tough for me. I was like in high school. I felt really dumb.
No,
7/18 on a Saturday.
Stop, Bart. Oh my God.
as somebody who minored in history, I'm offended.
I'm sorry.
Make it frenemies here on a Saturday. All right, the American League. You guys can see my notes. I'll show you my notes. I like making notes. I'm an old school guy. They have laptops. I tried to underline who I was leaning towards in these awards. Couldn't for the life of me, figure out who I wanted to win the AL MVP for various reasons. Jersey bias in me, Mike Trout. I always look for his name.
Love
He's
Mike
always
Trout.
going to be there.
Yep.
But Alex Bregman, Marcus Semien, a little bit of question mark there. Yankee fans here, I want to get your take on Semien versus DJ LeMahieu.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right for
I
that.
did. I'm okay. All right.
Right for that.
All right.
The guy comes from Colorado. He's won a batting title, right? Oh, but he's just a product of Coors Field.
Yeah, first off, there were people who were mad about that signing.
Right.
There were people who were
I loved
like,
that signing.
incredibly upset on social media saying this is a terrible sign.
When I came up as a baseball player, right, it was when the utility man was becoming popular, right, in baseball. So you're talking like 06, 07, 08.
Ben Zobrist's prime.
Yes, Ben Zobrist. Thank you. I could not think of the name. I was just trying to, drag it up. DJ LeMahieu started at least 40 games in 3 different spots across the infield and had 20 plus at third base. Like, again, going back to the Yankees' injuries, he only had Gleyber Torres as his wingman for most of the season, right? He was leading the AL batting race, clubbed 28 home runs, he had 100 RBIs. Like, on base percentage was amazing. He's an amazing fielder. He would make an error, and I would be like, oh, like that's CGI right there. That's not true. Like, how on earth? I'm not saying he has to win it because Bregman is a stud, and I love Alex Bregman, but how is he not a finalist?
At least to give him the credit for
Right.
being that glue
Right.
for an entire season where
Again, you take
1,000 games were missed
you
from a
ta-
team that still won 100 games.
You take LeMahieu out of the Yankees, and all you have is Gleyber Torres. What are the Yankees doing this year?
Hey man, no skin in the game. I'm not a Yankee fan here. You guys are. You have hearts on your sleeves. But even I, from looking on the outside in, I'm like, Marcus Semien. Like, I understand, man. 280, he scored 100 runs. He drove in a career high. I don't know, it was close to 90, 20 bombs. He was good, but he wasn't DJ LeMahieu good.
No.
I think I was either with you or we were talking to each other or something like that when the finals came out, and I was like, Marcus Semien's a finalist, and you were like, what? It's
Right.
like, yeah, he had a good year, but you don't think MVP, you don't think Marcus Semien. But again, going back, I'm going to go back to the argument. If you take that person off that team, are they the same team? I mean, with Semien, you can make an argument and say no because he had such a good year. But if you take Bregman, yes, he had a terrific year. Again, I'm not taking anything away from it. If you take Bregman off of Houston, there's still, a solid team from 1 through 9, and then with their rotation. They're basically the same team to me.
Right.
But again, with LeMahieu, again, he's not a finalist. You take him out, that just adds another hole, especially with all the injuries that they had. But then Trout, and again, it's almost like people are getting sick of talking about Mike Trout, but I do agree with you. Like I said earlier, I think he's the face of baseball. He is everything that you want the top dog in the league to be, and that's what he is. But if you take Mike Trout off the Angels, they're the bottom dweller, and I think they'd be a laughingstock of.
Are they worse than Baltimore?
They're close to it.
I mean, Trout has the highest wins above replacement in the MLB every year.
Yeah.
Like, he is just getting, he's getting hurt, and he's pretty much putting the team on his back. Like that's what it is. He's trying to do literally everything to win a game.
It's so sad too. It's the one downside to the era we live in, the generation of social media and stuff getting thrown in your face. Like, I just think back to generations past where, like, Willie Mays considered the best player in the game, Ken Griffey in the 90s. Do you think people ever got tired of talking about the best player in the sport?
They probably
Like,
worship
everybody in this world is actually, like, getting tired of Mike Trout in only his 8th year. You're literally watching, well, depending on how late you stay up, considering he's on the East, he's on the West Coast for us. You're watching greatness and a potential game-changing player.
generational
A
talent.
generational talent that we haven't seen since probably Ken Griffey.
He
You
does
get
it
to
all.
watch him on a nightly basis do everything on a baseball field. And we can't stand to see him win awards that he deservedly has earned.
He can't even get to the playoffs.
That's
Like, you want to talk about a terrible franchise
Yeah.
and their decision making? Look at the Angels. They're wasting Mike Trout's prime, and he signed on for 13 more years, $400 million. Which, I mean, makes me wonder: is it time? Like, I mean, the MLB is just throwing out stupid money. Like, the luxury tax is one thing, but, I mean, is it time for a salary cap in the MLB? I mean, that's just ungodly money, especially with Bryce Harper. But still, like, back to the point, like, Mike Trout is everything you want in a baseball player. He's humble like Derek Jeter was. You never see him in off-field incidents. And he goes out there and, 6 RBI games, and it's nothing.
Yep.
Like, oh, yeah, just, doing what I can to help the team win. And guys in front of me getting on base, doing their jobs. Like, he's giving the credit to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you not just automatically put him in every year and then find 2 more players?
Seriously. They tried it before. They tried C.J. Wilson. They tried Albert Pujols. They tried Josh Hamilton. Didn't work. And now I think it's a sign that, Trout's a committed guy. And the fact that he's willing to sign on the dotted line until his age 40 season, like, if you're the Angels, like, it is your job to field a team around this guy sooner rather than later. He was willing to stick around with you.
Yeah.
You're like the bad girlfriend.
Yes.
And he's staying with you every year you hurt him. Get this man, forget the playoffs. He's been there once. It was a one and done, but like, come on, shoot for the stars. You have the easiest thing. You have the cornerstone, the franchise up the middle of your field. Let's go.
And we know, like when you get Monday Night Football, Saturday Night Football, primetime games, you get, NHL rivalries on Wednesday nights, and, NBA, you get the primetime games on TNT. Sunday Night Baseball, it's the same teams. It's Houston, New York, LA Dodgers, Boston. No Angels.
Yep.
They're not good. They're not good baseball to watch. And for us on the East Coast, that's the only time we really get to watch Mike Trout. And it never happens, and it's so sad.
Being born and raised in Buffalo, the closest team is Toronto. So, unless you want to make a long haul and go see a baseball game, but
I know where you're going with this.
We went to Toronto, and so basically any great baseball memory I can think of where I was at the game live, I will remember most of it. Seeing Mike Trout hit a 117-mile-an-hour frozen rope into the bleachers at Rogers Center. That's something that I'll never forget.
Life-changing.
It was literally off the bat.
My
It
life
just
transcended when this ball came off the bat.
off the bat, it was just we were laughing because we're like, oh my god,
Did
he
you
did
have
that.
an out-of-body experience?
Yes, I didn't. My eyes were they were open for like 4 more innings, but I don't remember any of it.
It was literally you're just sitting there, and it was just like you're like, all right, that ball's gone. It happened that fast, and we were sitting like 5 rows back from the foul line, kind of towards like where a tarp would be on the third baseline. We were just sitting there. I was literally just like, all right, literally it happened that fast. It's like, oh my god. Like I know there's other guys in the league that can pummel baseballs, but Trout is, oh my god, it was unreal.
It was a good time.
I just wanted to bring that up. Like it makes me laugh just thinking about it. It's like nobody's been able to hit a baseball almost 120 miles an hour, but you got to see it live and it was wild.
It's so different.
It was awesome.
It just sounds different. All right, so no DJ. That stinks.
Yeah.
I go Trout. I'll be pleasantly surprised when it's Bregman because he did do great things in Houston. But fine. Considering the argument we just had, I'll go Trout. I want to see him win 20 in his career. If it wasn't for Miguel Cabrera in 2012 and 2013, you're talking about a guy probably already is 5.
Yeah. Speaking of Miguel Cabrera, I saw a tweet the other day that had the Detroit Tigers starting rotation in like 2014.
Yep.
And it was Scherzer, Rick Porcello, all these guys.
Scherzer and Verlander and Sanchez.
Verlander, Sanchez, Sanchez.
And Price. David Price. They've all.
Yeah.
They've all won a ring.
Oh my god, like they've all won a ring since then. Like
Yep.
that team was poised to win a ring, and they just exploded. I don't know what happened there.
You've got that 5-some. You've got Miguel Cabrera, who's a 1-2 punch in the AL, is one of the best players in the league.
Victor
Martinez, yeah.
Oh, that's just so sad.
Sorry, Steve. Listening, but it's Steve Hostinsky. It'll turn around, man, all right?
Yeah, Casey Miz, you're good.
That's right. No hitter in his first AA appearance. Do you know that this year?
I know.
Casey Mize, yeah.
That was on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
He's got cannon for an arm.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be good.
Things are turning around. For sure.
Slowly but surely. Poor Detroit.
All right, so holy cow, we went long with this. This was a good discussion. All right, so to wrap up, what do we got here? Rookie of the Years on Monday the 11th. Look out for Yordan Alvarez and Pete Alonso on those days in the NL and the AL. Special consideration to John Means, Brandon Lau, Mike Soroka, Fernando Tatis of San Diego. Managers of the Year on Tuesday, Cy Young's on Wednesday, MVPs wrap up the awards week in Major League Baseball on Thursday, 14th, which is also conveniently the next time the Buffalo Sabres play. So 5 minutes on the Sabres Sweden trip before we wrap up here. Just because that was a good segue. They play Carolina on Thursday. They'll be coming back from this weird 2-week enigmatic sort of time where they travel to Sweden, play 2 games. They're off for 4 more days, but
I could go on a very, 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 very long rant.
I am sure you could.
Like, if you listen to Jeremy White in the morning, Buffalo people, like, worse than what he does. Like, that's how
Those are good too.
Yes, they are. And like, I could explode right now after watching the Sabres.
Do you want to? Is the question? Because I'll allow it. I don't know if you want to.
This is
Good television.
That's another. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's the same players as last year. It doesn't matter how good the coach is. Like, I see the improvements in the team, but it's the same players that are making the same mistakes. Your bottom 6 is an AHL middle 6, right? VC has done nothing. Shuri's looked good. Middlestad's playing good hockey, but he's not getting points because he's stuck with BC. Shuri and Middlestad are the only 2 players who have points on that line. And then your bottom line, they control possession, yeah, but they're not getting the scoring chances. It's the defense, and they're not even getting dressed in the minors. Like, oh my God, the defense is better. Stop playing Ristolainen 25 minutes a night. Oh my God. Give the minutes to Montour, who I called that trade for a year, over a year.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
How no NHL GM was able to put together a package for Shea Theodore or Montour before the expansion draft is beyond me. Beyond me. But Montour is so good. He's the offense equivalent to Jeff Skinner. In your face, doesn't shut up, just gives you a little butt under the stick. Like, oh, he's so good. Give the minutes to him.
That's true.
Give the minutes to Yogi Hardy. Stop going to Ristolainen. Stop. He's just going to rim it around the wall, and it's going to be kept in the zone. You saw it last season. You've seen it this season. It's leading the goals.
So, I just met you. For those that are watching that think that we've been doing this all the time, I just met you. Are you one of those people that is trying to chase Ristolainen out of Buffalo?
I'm not trying to chase him out of Buffalo. If there's a package there for him, take it. Because this team desperately needs another top 6 forward. Vladimir Sobotka, the fact that he is A, on a top 6 role, B, on an NHL roster, B, in the NHL, C, all that stuff. Like, we need a top 6 forward. You have a potential to go get Tyler Toffoli, who the Kings have already said are shopping him. Like,
yeah, I did read that.
Go.
Yep, that's been talked about for a couple weeks now, and
Maybe that is the Western Conference forward that Jeremy alluded to on Twitter tonight.
Did he allude to it Twitter?
He did.
I did not see
It wasn't his hashtag Super Secret Saber source from what I can remember, but I remember seeing a thread from Jeremy following today's loss that there was at least rumblings from Sabres hierarchs of a quote Western Conference forward.
Yeah, like I've been putting together little mock trades in my mind, and like if the Sabres are actually going to be in this race, one player I would love to see them go get is Wayne Simmons in New Jersey.
Dude, I wanted them to sign him in the offseason.
Yes, like you spent $2 million on Larson, $2 million on Gergensons, $2 million on Rodriguez, who was all 4 at the time, but has played like.
It's been a complete 180 from what he was last year.
Yes,
it's been
Yes, like that's $6 million right there. Like Wayne Simmons hit $5 million, who's been to the playoffs, who's proven he can play in this league, and like that hit on Soroka, right? I'm not the type of guy. I'm not the suburban hockey dad who's like, oh, you gotta be a big hulking man to play in the NHL. Like, no, like on the contrary to what people say, like those aren't the guys who win you Stanley Cup. Like Tarasenko, Shen, O'Reilly, Pietrangelo. Those are the guys who won St. Louis Stanley Cup, not the Pat Maroon, who contributed.
Right.
But he's not the reason they won because he made people scared to go in the corner. Like, no, he had an effect on the game because he was able to utilize his skills and win. Yes, he out-Boston Boston, but Boston's 4th line could put up points. And Curley is one of the sneakiest guys in the league. He put up 10 goals last year. Nobody knows that. Like, he's good. Like, that's what wins you hockey games. But you gotta have that guy who's gonna stick up for your team. In the home opener, when McCabe blew up Taylor Hall, Wayne Simmons went right after McCabe, and it was a clean hit. Like, that's what when your team is getting spanked like that. Like, I'm saying this as a Sabres fan, good on Wayne Simmons to go after McCabe. That's what you got to do.
That's the player he's always been, and he will continue to be that kind of guy.
Claude Giroux in Wayne Simmons' final game in Philadelphia said, "No matter what, I will always love you."
Yep.
That is the type of teammate you need. That is the type of player you need. And after seeing no emotion from the Sabres for the past 2 weeks, that's what you need to get. Go and get somebody who's going to inject that into your lineup.
I like it. I like this guy already.
Yeah,
Read my mind. We were talking on podcast a couple months ago. Who did the Sabres sign? Hey man, if there was 3 out there, like there's some couple skill guys I'm looking at, but you want a guy in your bottom 6 that can do the things you need that you've been yearning for. It's not over the top, like I'm gonna get penalties and start punching people in the face, but like he knows how to police the game.
Yes. Even Pat Maroon, he's making $1 million in Tampa. Like he already won his ring. He knows, like he.
And look what he did the last 2 days too. I mean, he's contributing and he's creating scoring chances for his line mates.
Him and Yanni Gourde took down the Sabres top line.
Yep.
Took them down.
Just outworked him.
Yes.
Shift after shift after shift.
Plain and simple. Like that's what you need. You need that guy. Our fourth line, Gergensen is a bust. They're trying to save him. He's a bust. Plain and simple. Larson is 5'11". He's strong, yeah, but okay, he's 5'11". Like he's not, and he's slow. And like, yeah, he's had some good goals, some highlight reel goals, but like, what really has he done? Like he's slow. And then Kyle Oposo, I've had concussions. I know where he's coming from. I know how just dark that can be. I hope for his future he's good, but he is nothing compared to what we signed him to be. Like, that is just such a disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
30 goals, 40 assists a year with Tavares, and Matt Molson 2.0.
Oh God, don't bring up that name, please.
How about Brad Boyce?
Last Sabre goal scorer in the playoffs. Brad Boyce.
Yes. Yes.
No, going back to the point, like, it's Buffalo Twitter, Bills and Sabres is just, it's a madhouse.
Brutal.
It's a madhouse. There's no happy medium. It's either you are the extreme optimist or the extreme pessimist, and there's no happy medium. There's no one that seems like they can be rational, and that's just like the majority. Like there are people out there that are sane. You seem very sane. All right, like I said, just met you. I love your opinions. I love your outlook. But like, there's people that are like they wake up and the first thing on their mind is we need to get rid of Ristolainen right now. If the Sabres don't do it, I'm done.
Ristolainen can be serviceable.
He can be serviceable, and it's not a guy that you should be chasing out of a hockey team or out
Just
of a
needs
city.
to be in the right role.
Yeah, and it's like, but then the thing is too is those same exact people right now are the people that are calling on Dahlin to play those 25 minutes, and I don't think he's ready. And I think this year so far has proved that he is not ready to take on a bigger role because he has looked like absolute garbage in his defensive end.
He looked like Bambi a couple times this year trying to walk on ice. Like
bad giveaways. Yes, he's still fantastic with creating plays in the offensive end and being able to create space and even to walk around people. But too many times it's night in, night out where he'll try and spin around, try and make a breakout pass, and he'll give up the puck, he'll lose the puck, and he'll just give it right back and create an odd man rush for the other team. And it's like he hasn't learned anything yet.
What I need to see is, I was never a big fan of the Phil Housley hire, and I was never a fan of how he sat Casey Middlestat last year. Didn't even tell him why, just sat him, right? The Sabres need to sit down with Dahlin. Kruger needs to sit down, talk to him. Let's look at some video, right? And then I want you to look at this video, and I want you to watch the game tonight from the suite, right? And I want you to see what it is you're doing, and then I want you to read the play as it's developing on the ice and see what you would have done compared to what you should have done. Take a game, sit. You're 19 years old. Victor Hedman was about to be labeled a bust as a 19-year-old. Like, he did not become this overnight. Erik Karlsson did not become this overnight. PK Subban was a 4th-round pick who's washed now, but that he is a Norris winning defenseman.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these guys didn't get it overnight. He's 19. He's fine. He's going to be good. Just what broke him? Sit down, figure it out, give him a night off, right? Let him watch the game and go from there. He is not ready for 25 minutes a night.
No, not at all.
Plain and
But
simple.
it's like all these people are saying that Ristolainen isn't supposed to be in that role, but then they're going to call on Dahlin because they say, oh, Ristolainen can't make a tape-to-tape pass, get out of his own head, but like, what's Dahlin doing right now? And it's like, it's almost worse than Ristolainen.
What teams are doing is they figured out Dahlin. Like, in Europe, you got that big ice, so you can just skid around all you want, right? Teams are attacking him. It's a weird. It's a 2-1 with a trap, and the second forward, like they'll bring two guys in, and the one guy's gonna force him to the wall with the second guy converging on him, and the second forward in is gonna cut to the middle here. So you got three guys boxing him in. Like he's gonna turn it over. He's got to make quicker decisions. He's just not doing that.
Yep.
We did it in club, like for when I played college hockey. Like that's what we did. It was a 2-1 trap, worked every time. But like you just skate right at him, he panics. Plain and simple.
Well, team is traveling back as we speak, I believe, or at least in the next day or so. We will get to see if these ships are righted, at least the next time here at home for the Sabres on Thursday the 14th when they host the Carolina Hurricanes. That's going to do it for us. We had a pretty fruitful hour. We didn't get to the off-season destination. That's going to be for another day because we have a lot of guys that could have a lot of new homes. And truth be told, we're probably not up against the clock because based off the last two off seasons, we may have a couple months until we see some stuff to sign.
We might be able to do this
But
in January.
Yeah.
we'd like to get our predictions out there for you. So we'll have to come back with that another time. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. For Justin Lamont, first time we have potted together. I'm Kyle Powell. This is Connor Priester, first timer. He did great, and we'll bring him back for another run here. The trial went well. I'm totally kidding.
I'm really proud of you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. This has been the Raging Buffalo Podcast on YouTube and wherever you're watching. Cut.
I did not expect that Sabres twist.
I did not expect that.
I just came up with it literally on the fly. I was like,